I hate to turn off the fat beats, but we've got fat picks and bands to get to, folks. So I apologize for that. But my name is Octavian. I am joined by the illustrious, inevitable, and indubitable Blaster Boy, who's going to be doing color casting for me today, as well as helping me navigate this pick and ban here. I apologize for some of the audio levels. I'll be working on those as we go through the cast, trying to get them leveled out and such. So hopefully I can have at least your patience, if not your understanding. And Vanderbilt is going to be on blue side. UNC Charlotte is going to be on red. And Vanderbilt will be coming into this game with a 1-0 lead in the series. Introduce yourself, Blaster. How you doing?
Doing great, Octavian. How about you?
I'm doing just fine and dandy, fine and dandy vandy landy. It's catchy. It is catchy.
It is. It is. We were just discussing this in the lobby. Certainly very catchy. But speaking of catchy, Zyra off the table, but
Varys.
similarly catchy. Varys locked in.
Maybe he can make some catches.
Maybe. This was banned away last game, so this is a little bit of an adjustment here for Vanderbilt. I do like it. The virus is very, very strong and bring a lot of damage to the table in pretty short bursts.
Mm-hmm. What I really want to see differently in this draft, though, is Charlotte picking Engage.
Agreed.
Charlotte picking something, doesn't really matter what, even just one champion, which will allow them to engage more easily. Maybe that's a Maokai that was banned out last time around. Maybe they take away the Nautilus. Maybe you expand out of the top lane and you go for like an Ashe or a Jhin, because that's still on the table, Speaking of these 80 carry picks. I like Nami, though. Nami's decent at that, too, even if not as reliable as some others.
Yeah, and I mean, similarly to the Lulu, combos really well with the Rengar, I feel. Can empower a few of his autos, give him a free slow, lead him in with that tidal wave to give him a ton of movement speed. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of options of synergy between Nami and Rengar, I feel.
And meanwhile, though, the next two picks are going to be coming through from Vanderbilt. And unfortunately, we don't have the 10-ban system yet. It's not filtered down from the competitive
soon,
level. Hopefully very soon. I like it quite a bit. I would really like to have that. But we are going to have to make do with just 6. And, I think the Kazakhs pick into this would make some sense. Again, Ominous Mirror had a great game on that. Picking away the Maokai as well. They've got some really great picks already on the side of Vanderbilt. They haven't really been denied anything.
Yeah, these are some really high tier picks, if nothing else. Not the top tier. Very, very good for Vanderbilt so far. We'll just have to see if they can really they can pull through, because we did touch on it in champ select and everything last game a bit early on, and it didn't come through in the last match, but Vanderbilt seems to drop a game here and there, even if they get the picks that they really want. So I'm hoping that they can really deliver with these very high tier picks, but I mean, there are still going to be some comfort picks and similarly high tier picks on the opposite side as Virtuoso gets his Jhin. Like I said, 92 games, sporting a 58% win rate. That's really impressive already in just 2 months of this season, nearly 3. Yeah. But fairly short amount of time in this season, a very large amount of games on this Jhin, large volume. We'll be seeing a quirky hover to go alongside as Varus for Vanderbilt. So a lot of poke from them and a lot of damage from a pretty long range, while also having good engage. I'm hoping that UNC will sort that out incredibly well here with their last lock-in. But they are pretty secure in that already.
I kind of like the Thresh that we're seeing hovered here, and yeah, Joe the Hobo is going to be locking that in. Only if we were going to be seeing Joe the Hobo go with a hard engage champion to begin with. Hard engage, like melee-ish range champion. I like the Thresh better than the Leona that he was hovering, or an Alistar or something along those lines, because Nami is incredibly punishing to these melee champions, and Thresh, at the very least, isn't true melee. He's got a very, very short auto range, and he can contest the Nami outside of just landing an engage. And Thresh Varus is going to have some pretty good lane presence. We'll see whether or not Man wants to go back to the Diana. I don't. The Corki's not going to be any easier of a lane for him.
Yeah, Victor and Ori taking off the table, two of his highest tier picks. Echo is another one up there. I mean, Diana is there. He's 24 games on it in ranked. It's something that he's fairly comfortable on and has experience on. They ban away the Rise. Yeah, this is about, I mean, looking through out of his top 10 most played champions in solo queue. I mean, I have, I think, 8 of them here, 7 of them or so. And Diana's really one of the only ones that's open here. There's 3 mid lane bans. The other one was taken away. The other really high tier one was taken away, and he doesn't really play all that much Corki anyway, so gotta fall back on this Diana again. I hope he can deliver on it a bit better this time. There's a lot more tools for enabling an engage from the side of Charlotte, so fingers crossed that they can pull it together this time and do a lot of work. They need a similarly successful gank up top from Notorious Gad, I feel, and then they can really just, if they can keep a momentum like that going, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the top lane this time, but similarly to their successful gank in the top lane from the last game, they need some early momentum. They need to get that going, and they need to keep it going because these are some comfort picks for them. So,
all right, well, comfort picks in the hands of UNC Charlotte, but a pretty dang solid meta composition thrown together there by Vanderbilt. We'll see whether or not UNC Charlotte can pull it back and tie up the series 1-1, or if Vanderbilt is going to take home a clean 2-0 sweep, their first clean 2-0 sweep actually, here at the ULoL Campus Series. However, before we get into that, I would just like to do a few shout outs here. First off, we here at the CSL are hiring right now for a social media manager position, so if you think that that sounds like you, then head on over to cstarleague.com and you can find some more information there as to how to apply and all that. As well as that, Band Gaming is our first of the 3 sponsors I'll be shouting out here, who are a social app that's used to corral your friends together for a game night, something along the lines of Five's League of Legends or a board game or pretty much anything that you could possibly think of. They've got the tools for it. They've got voice chat, call functionality, Premier boards, calendar functions, polls, anything you could possibly need, really. As well as that, we are sponsored by Twitch.tv, who have been with us almost from the beginning and have always been supportive of collegiate esports, and we are highly appreciative of them for that. And Asus, who want me to let you know that if you need anything for your esports endeavors, be that a motherboard, a mouse, a keyboard, anything that you need to put together a just ridiculously powerful computer, you can go ahead and find them at asus.com. Now, my name is Octavian. I am joined here by Blaster Boy, and we will be with you on the Rift in just about a minute. All right, everybody, welcome to the Rift, or I suppose the spectator client pre-buggy Rift. We've been having a few issues. I think the teams might be in a little bit of a pause. Yeah, there we go. We've been having a few issues with the pause overlay. It doesn't actually show us that the teams are pausing for some reason, but whenever the game does freeze up like that, it does mean the team has paused. So that got resolved relatively quickly, which is always nice. My name is Octavian. I am joined here by Blaster Boy, who's going to be guiding me through this match with some of his color commentary, and hopefully the audio levels have evened out a bit, because I did fiddle with those while loading into the match here. Just as UNC Charlotte fiddled with their team composition a little bit. Segues, they've got Engage now. How do you think they're going to fare in this match too, Blaster? Predict the result. Tell me, who wins? Right now. Your job? Come on, let's
one of these teams is going to take home the victory here. Ooh.
Oh, that's a really nicely placed Dark Possession.
Through that.
I have to wonder what Joe the Hobo has leveled up here. I'm actually going to check that. He didn't level up anything. There was actually an opportunity there for Joe the Hobo turning that corner to quickly level hook and throw it out, but they didn't want to go with that.
So, just looking for some vision here on the side of Charlotte, or the side of Vanderbilt, rather. So, oh man. Oh no. Charlotte has no idea that they're coming around. They are in dangerous position here.
Yeah.
It looks like they're just going to slip out, going right around them. Wow. That worked out perfectly for Charlotte there. What an interesting what an interesting series of events there. Nothing at all comes out of it except for a little bit of vision. So it's a bit more knowledge for both of these teams, knowing where the jungler is or is technically is not starting in the case of Vanderbilt. We'll be getting that red buff over to their Kazakhs, and bot side start pretty standard nowadays. Really don't see anything too different, either one way or another. So pretty secure both of these lanes, and
it looks like we're into a pause. I know it doesn't say so on your screen, folks, but we've been having a few issues with our spectator client. Thankfully, we're out of it very quickly. Not sure what's going on there, but Touch Me Gabe is once again in the Yorick matchup into a tank. Last time there was some early success for Gab,
Yep.
up on the top lane, the G duo, and wait a second. Wait a second. Virtuoso stole the red buff.
oh, wait, did he?
Yeah.
He did. Oh,
Yeah, he started with a deadly flourish. He stole away the red buff. Beautiful.
Oh my god.
He does lose out on a bit of lane XP for that, but I think the XP from the red buff itself is going to make up for that for sure. Actually,
He's
while
one
we're in the
creep
pause
away.
here, let's. Yeah, you're right.
He seems to be one creep away.
It's hard to tell because the bar doesn't actually have numbers on it, but the little purple bar at the bottom there, that's XP.
Yeah.
It's very close to being full.
Oh.
As Vandy Landy is actually going to be DC'd here. So is Zero Turtle. Hopefully, we'll be getting them back with us very shortly. As our pause overlay is actually working now. Hey,
There we go.
The spectator client broke in one way, but threw us a bone in another. That's going to drastically differ the way this bottom lane plays, though, because red buff is just insanely strong, particularly in the lane where auto attacks matter the most.
Yeah, and auto attacks are going to be huge for the Jhin specifically here. They pretty much always are early on. So, throughout the entire game, really, Jhin is very much auto attack focused in spite of being a caster and being capped at 4 autos every few seconds. He still gets a few of them in there and high impact, applying that extra true damage burn, setting himself up on his just solo for further auto attacks. It's going to be fantastic.
And the other thing that you got to think about as we swap over to Ominous Mirror here on my client at least, is that Ominous Mirror doesn't have any XP now.
Yeah.
Because the buff camps no longer have the little bufflets, the little tiny critters, stealing that away is so impactful to a jungler's early clear. Not only is the red buff gone, so he's losing out even damage in the clear and ganking power because he doesn't have the slow. He also doesn't get any XP from his first camp, so he's going to be about maybe half a level, if not a little more, behind. And he's so much more vulnerable to invades now because of that level discrepancy. Admittedly, Notorious Gad isn't in a great spot to take advantage of that, as he's just clearing out his wolf camp at the moment, but that could snowball further so far into much, much more of an advantage.
Yeah,
All
we
because,
really need to
all
see.
because Jin pressed W.
Yeah, basically, that was incredibly well timed, and I mean, almost nobody smites the first camp now. So that is definitely something that's very accessible at the moment um, with the current meta. So of smite, due to smite being on such a long cooldown and having such an impact later on, if you save it, then yeah, not common that you see, especially with the leech, that you see a smite on the first camp.
Well, Vanderbilt already off to a bit of a rocky start. They do generally go 2-1 in their series, but that's just fine. It doesn't really matter how you get there in the end, as long as you make it there. And game number 1 was pretty decisively in their favor, I'd say, for the most part. However, it looks like we've got a bit longer to wait through this pause. Some of the players having connectivity issues, which is a problem that plagues any online tournament. Apologies for that, folks. And, we've got maybe a little bit more to talk about here, as I would just like to reinforce once more that we're seeing Man back on this Diana, and that there was a huge, huge focus in the draft on Man in both game 1 and 2. We didn't hit on it as much in game 1, as it looks like we may be getting back into the game. I'm not sure. My client is doing some strange and unusual things, which is really nothing new. But yeah, there were 3 bans focused his way. I believe the Echo ban was towards him as well. Yeah. And then the Quirky as well is a pick of his, if I'm not mistaken, that was taken away.
It's actually not something that he plays, but it's something that's in the meta right now. So it's reasonable to expect that even though he doesn't have a ton of games on it, that it is something that he plays, and it's just something that's going to be powerful regardless of really your comfort level with it to some extent, due to how strong it is at the moment.
So, if we see this Diana do well at all, it's going to be a huge, huge just ribbon on Man of Sexy's chest, because he was just thrown into a pit, and then they put a lid on top of it, and then they covered that with sand during the round. And then they sat. And if he manages to make it out of that pit, very, very well done to this guy.
Yeah, it would be incredible if he was able to have a great performance on this Diana. He showed glimmers of it last time. He was just behind.
Well, we'll see if he can make it out of the cement pit that he's in. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Metaphorical cement pits. Really the bread and butter of casting. Would you agree, Blaster? You don't agree?
Yeah, definitely. No, I definitely agree. I mean, I use cement pits as metaphors all the time when I cast.
Interesting. 21 Virtuoso is actually getting shoved in the bottom. He's at a CS disadvantage. I don't know how much of that is because the wave was shoved because he was out of the lane stealing that red buff away.
That's most of it.
That contributes for sure. But he hasn't been playing aggressively here. We'll see now that the lane is equalized whether or not he tries to take advantage of this red buff.
Right, he wasn't really playing aggressively because of starting Deadly Flourish, you kind of have to play back anyway. I think walking into lane, he was able to snipe a creep, so that shows like how far away he was. He had the max range W, a minion, in order to get early CS after that red buff steal. It may have popped him too, but that just means that the lane was already pushed in very, very far. So kind of had to play back. There was a 2 or 3 wave advantage sitting there for the bot lane of Vanderbilt, regardless of his steal. So now that it's equalized, though, now that it's pushing in their favor, the red buff is gone. Yeah. So that advantage is nullified completely by good lane play from Vanderbilt.
Yeah, the hook just about catching on to Virtuoso as they're going to bring him down to just below half health and steal away an exhaust as well. Virtuoso down below 100 hit points. Doesn't want to burn anything else, doesn't really have to, but still a great trade for Vanderlandy and Joe.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic there. What a great hook. It's really solid. Nothing flashy, no mad life hook, killed the CS, insta hook someone or anything like that. Just really solid overall. And that will put Vanderbilt back in control of this lane, now maintaining a very solid CS lead. And this is what they really wanted last time when they got that summoner spell advantage. This time they're just able to brute force it by having almost even more aggressive support. Zero Eternal.
Yeah, the return to the top lane, but this time Zero Eternal is playing much safer. You can see he's actually playing a lot farther back in the wave. it's working out decently well for him. He's even about on CS. Good hook on the Virtuoso, but under the turret, there's nothing they can really do with that. And I think that's just going to happen for the rest of the series. They're not going to get that great first blood onto Zero Eternal, not as easily, not in the same way that they did in game 1. Because this guy is wise to the tricks now. He doesn't just walk up and let Touch Me Big put a big cage around him anymore.
Yeah, in addition, he also has a ward, he had a sapling in the brush as well, he had everything in his favor, plus just being further back on the lane as well. Like, absolutely everything was almost perfectly in his favor there. He is a little bit caught here, but he has mana advantage.
He has no mana, yeah. So he's not really caught. Touch Me Big trying to scare him back, but Zero Eternal not going to fall for it. However, Zero Eternal doesn't have much mana himself, so really I don't expect too much action in the top lane unless he drones shits up.
Now, Notorious is on the bot side of the map. Ominous Mirror also looking for an opening bottom, but neither of them will find anything if they want, so they will just both back off in the end. I don't think either of them have been spotted for quite a while here either, so this is a very interesting... there's been a very interesting minute or so since either of these junglers have shown, because that automatically makes everybody play a little bit more scared, be looking more and more at the map than solely focusing on their lane when you don't have the junglers. That's one of the big things that makes Evelynn very strong in professional play, is the fear that she can be anywhere. And it doesn't matter in that case how much you check your map, but it makes a lot of players play much more safely when they don't know where the opposing jungler is. They have no semblance of, okay, well, where do they tend to farm? Well, we don't really know. They've just been kind of farming in the dark for the last 2-3 minutes. It's dependent.
Is incredible in Legends, but Zero Eternal going to get bullied back under the turret, not respecting the power spike of the Sheen as much maybe as he should have. But he'll be fine. He does have some great sustain in the lane as Maokai. Just has to continue to respect this Yorick, I think. And I think that's one of the big things about these sort of lane bully champions. Things like the Yorick, the Alawi, the Riven. You just have to give them the appropriate amount of respect and play around. Make sure that you never overextend, because these champions, Yorick included, are so very good at capitalizing on enemy mistakes, but they're not quite as good at making the plays themselves. They're not quite as reliable in the end game as a Maokai is going to be. You know, Maokai is never going to be useless in the end game, but Yorick could be if he didn't have a good lane. Maybe
definitely. And there is definitely room for Yorick to be useful, but the windows are much smaller, and the opportunities are much less frequent than it would be for Maokai, who powered ability there saved his life. Yeah, real close. He does pull through in the end, even has to go very far back, pops Blast Cone as well, just to recall way back at safe.
And I gotta give some props, now that we're taking a look at the jungle here, to Ominous Mirror, who started without that red buff and has been on par in gold and levels to Notorious Dad the whole game. Aside from like literally minute 1 where he didn't get the red buff count. Other than that, he's been just fine. And that is a disadvantage maybe that Notorious didn't take enough advantage of. And maybe that Ominous Mirror later. He actually went through some early invades himself. He stole away a Raptor camp really early on. So Notorious pushed out of the jungle, not being afraid just because of that one.
Yeah, Notorious did still try to keep up, or he did try to push ahead with that advantage. But oh man, gank in the mid.
As well as man's gonna go down. That's first blood. Meanwhile, Joe the Hobo gonna be turned back around onto Wood. There's a Notorious Gad coming in from the river. The ulti actually burns out before he makes it to the bottom line. He doesn't have the leap available. They don't want to die for this. So the game fizzles out a bit as the hook lands onto Lambert. So the Hobo's going to be flaying back in that delicious fish meal as Vandy Landy claims it with a piercing arrow. Notorious Gad coming in for a half-hearted Q or two, but Vandy's going to chase him back out, flash away, the flay as well. There's the flash in from Virtuoso, but heal is still available. Joe trying his best to keep Notorious under the turret, and indeed the TP comes in from Zero as well. That is an easily favorable trade for Vanderbilt.
Charlotte just needed to give it up there. They needed to be content with just pushing them back. They wasted too much time. They gave not only an opportunity for a 4-second TP channel to come in, but for the jungler to walk all the way from a successful gank mid down to bottom, contribute down there, even pick up a kill for himself. Now it's the dragon to Vanderbilt. Yeah, man is, well, being very manly here, but not quite going to be able to find the opening that he wants to fully commit. Running out of cooldowns, unfortunately. A pretty consistent trend with this Diana, unfortunately, on these last 2 games. Not having the cooldown rotations that he needs to be able to finalize any kills, not being able to get those openings. But now Vanderbilt, they get those kills down bottom. They get the turnaround cleanly. 3 for 0, take a dragon as well. CS lead still in their favor from their early lane control, and this is looking great for them again, but this time from Charlotte overstepping. Similarly to the last game, they fall for their own trick from the first game again, which is a turnaround 3 for 0 gank. Just not working out for them.
And things are rough when the enemy support is out leveling your jungler, as Notorious Gad has just not had really much success this game. He's been a little bit overzealous with some commitments and a little bit too tepid with others, not really choosing the right moments. Because half of what jungling is, but there's the leap in onto Jawu, and
there we go.
Notorious Gad will even up that level discrepancy, at least with the support, if not his opponent's jungler, by claiming a kill in the mid lane.
That's a great gank. That was really, really quick and decisive from Notorious Gad and Man, just working together. That's what we need to be seeing from Charlotte here as they continue to push on in this game. The gold lead is still there, it still exists, but kind of negligible. Teleport coming in though.
And the Jin ulti as well. This is the sort of engage that Charlotte needed last game and can take advantage of this game. Joe the Hobo gonna be the last one to fall, as it's a double kill for the teleporting Diana.
Just like that, evening up the kill score. Fantastic moves from Charlotte. All of a sudden, they just spring to life from nowhere. And they're looking great, getting a lot of damage on this turret. May even take it down. That would be pretty tall order, I feel, but it's looking like it's pretty viable in the end. They don't have the way to do it right this moment.
That's okay.
Looks like they'll just brute force it.
Yeah, they've got shields, they've got heals, they're able to bring it down, and that's
first
turret,
break.
as well as a bunch of gold in the Diana's pocket, which I think is really important. They need something big and beefy to back up their engage, to back up the Nami and the Jin, and that's going to be the menacing burst out of the Fed Diana.
Yeah, and this map movement from Man has been really great. Honestly, that was a great bit of synergy in the mid lane on that gank to get the first kill, and then backs TPs right to bottom, gets 2 more. Suddenly goes from 0-1 to 3-0 with very solid CSing as well, keeping up with this Corki in spite of the range discrepancy. But this is looking fantastic for Charlotte all of a sudden. And now they have the gold to pick it back up again as well. They're 600 in the lead. Yeah. Now, something to keep in mind that you want to touch on real quick is that the first turret of the game was nerfed this patch. It's worth 100 gold less and no longer gives global gold, so actually worth 200 gold less in total. But it is still very much impactful, but it's not like outright lane winning 650 gold to whoever is nearest to it, assuming they are alone. But
package. This is a repeat of last time we saw Diana get ganked, but last time there was not a juicy target in the form of a Varus to leap in onto. And Man also didn't have his Roa completed. A little bit too tanky to burst and a little bit too dangerous to sit in the face of. Vanderbilt is going to lose both summoners, and Man is only going to have to turn around and walk away, maybe even having to the flash. There it is. Flash forward from Ominous Mirror. He does manage to claim the kill, but it looks like he'll be trading his life for it. Oh, sadly, Landry gets it.
Zero Eternal.
And the top laners have taken the Australian route, swapped to the other side of the map. I don't think Zero Eternal wins this one in the long run. Certainly not with the Maiden of the Mist involved.
Yeah, Maiden is incredibly powerful in a duel like that.
Oh, there's the slow. Dark Procession pushes Zero the wrong way.
If he had the ghouls there, that probably would have been a kill, but he just didn't have any spawn at that time.
The Maiden was a little bit distracted with the minion wave. Maiden of the minion wave.
Fortunately,
I think that's a better alternative name for her.
Yeah, no, definitely. Much less threatening, but, well, unless you're a minion, of course.
Then it's very frightening, yes.
Yeah.
The shove on the bottom lane will continue though. The top lane until it falls, and Dragon will be with us in just under a minute now. In this game, maybe the one where we start to see Touch Mediate come into his own as a split pusher. As well, he doesn't have that lead in the lane. Top lane did fairly action dry with both lanes having 0-0-0 KDAs. He has shown that he can bully Zero back, and there may not be a great answer to this.
Yeah, I really don't think there is much of one, because both you want Corki and Varus to be with the team to really make this happen, and I mean, there's not any other option for Vanderbilt to deal with this Yorick aside from just try to keep him locked down with his Maokai, but
you're though. Flank with the Nami ulti, but it will be a bit of a field goal. Still, the Hobo pulls his AD carry to safety with a quick, safe, dark passage. And it's just the Nami ulti thrown, though. Not too terribly impactful of a cooldown.
I don't know about Virtuoso's build here. This might be a comfort build for him, but I just don't feel like this is the best at the moment. The lethality is really, really strong at the moment, even though Edge of Night was nerfed. I mean, there's a new build order that was pre-made in the EULCS to already counter that, and that is Ghostblade into IE second. And he can be pretty comfortable with going for that option if he wants to. Just not a fan of this Essence Reaper at the moment, with the other options that are available on the table.
Well, Virtuoso will be looking to leave some Essence one way or another. It will allow him to, I suppose, toss out more things in the course of a fight, but the fights aren't going to last very long. There's a Diana on one side and the Kazakhs on the other. Somebody's getting bursted down somewhere.
Yeah.
Having that mana return may not be the best. However, getting cooldown reduction off crit may be what he's going for in the long run, because he does have the Zeal beside it.
Yeah, and this is really, I mean, having the Zeal is where Essence Reaver definitely starts to pick up. Finishing that Zeal item entirely, the Shiv or Fire Cannon, that's when, I believe that caps out Zeal nearly. Oh, man.
Hard play, but will flash over the wall to escape. That's two ults and a flash burned. A lot of the potential engage gone, and they've got splits going in both side lanes.
Yeah, the Zero Eternal having to teleport bottom. Can't save the turret, though.
The exhausting Zorni's down as he leaps in off his ulti. He does get a bit of healing back, but that's going to be 2 kills in the mid lane. As Charlotte take a bit of a ill-advised engage. Man looking to clean up the kill on Zero after he's already taken his turret away, but diving into the turret could be a little bit too ballsy for the guy. He gets his shield, but it won't be enough. Minions plus the turret shot on the way out will clean him up. It's a 1-for-1 trade in the bottom side, but meanwhile top, another turret falls, and overall, UNC Charlotte claim a huge gold lead out of that particular fight. Admittedly, only 2k gold ahead at the end of it all, but 2 turrets is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they lose 3 people overall, which isn't great, but the 2 turrets for Zero, absolutely fantastic. Huge amount of money for them all of a sudden, and that's their entire gold lead here, actually. So that's fantastic for them. Overall, UNC Charlotte is looking like a very different team in this game. Vanderbilt is still doing pretty well, keeping pace. It's not quite the crushing lead being reversed between game 1 and game 2, but looking way more confident for UNC Charlotte, and it seems like they're getting more of what they want.
I think I want to call back to something that I said in game 1, where Charlotte wasn't playing to their strengths, they were playing to their opponent's strengths. They were trying to team fight with a pick comp against a team fighting comp. Now this time, they've got a comp that with the Yoriks still, and the Diana still, can split push really well. And they're split pushing this time. They basically didn't in game 1, and even just with one play incorporating split pushing, they managed to gain 2 turrets, a 4-to-1 turret lead for themselves. And I hope that sticks in their memories, because I feel like that's going to be part of the key to victory if they do want to tire this, which I imagine they do.
Yeah, one of the big things that can really make this double split push comp work is the double teleport as well. They have the tools in their toolbox to make the split happen and then call back for a fight, just like they're doing here.
And Altia's man Comes in from the side, a 3-man slow, followed by a 5-man Nami ulti, but it may not be enough. Man caught under the turret is going to go down. Ominous move claiming that one. Lambry now to focus as a piercing arrow chunks away what remained of his hit points, and he has to flash back out of the fight. 21 Virtuoso now caught in the middle of the enemy team is not going to stay there for very long. And even with a strong engage, they just get out-fought. And UNC Charlotte may be losing a Baron off the back of that.
Yeah, and I think UNC Charlotte just pushed themselves a little bit too far there. I think that the idea of the engage was great, and the initial engage was great, but then they chased it a little bit too far. They should have realized that that wasn't going to work. Once Vanderbilt was able to fall back to their turret, they had the perfect position to just completely stomp out everything. All of the poke, all of the peel in the Maokai Thresh and Varus just ended up being way too far, and they had committed too many resources that they felt like they couldn't afford to back out after they went so deep. And yes,
UNC Charlotte second. UNC Charlotte had a great fall, and all of their poke and all of their engage couldn't put their comp back together again. Eh? No, that was terrible. Do not laugh. You make me think that I'm good at my job. Don't laugh.
I mean,
oh man, could get a catcher into Vandylandy. That would be huge.
Thresh in the wings.
This is the moment he's
Thresh
been
in the
waiting
wing.
for. The exhaust though, the flay, the Thresh waiting in the wings. Man, might be able to catch
seconds.
again, but there's just so much CC, and there's a whole team here now. What looked like a juicy pick onto an 80 carry turned out not quite so simple.
Really unfortunate there for Man. He saw the opening. He wanted it. He could taste it.
Pushing the mid lane against Charlotte. They're shoving. They're doing a push race against a 5-man squad with Baron.
Yeah, and they're doing it with only 3 members too, not even 4. Their Yorick is top.
They haven't even gotten the outer turret in the mid lane.
Yeah, they had to give up.
They had to. Yeah, they're gonna lose an inhibitor though. Like either way.
There was a chance of them being able to fight it if they had come back, but now they fall back. Now the dragon's up in about 50 seconds.
Maokai is not a target that they can take down, though. Even with things landing.
Got the lantern. Even without that lantern, he was completely fine. There was no CC left after the bubble landed. And disaster for UNC Charlotte.
They underestimate the pushing power of a 5-man squad with Baron, which is a lot of pushing power.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think on paper, there was no way that was going to work out with considering the Baron buff and 5-man stack. But I think the absolute base of the idea of, okay, well, we'll just push 2 turrets, we'll just push 2 lanes while they push 1. It could be okay, but you need a lot more to be happening on your side for that to work out. If it's just the Yorick and Diana pushing and you're defending with 2 or 3 members, then it has a much higher chance of working out. But when you commit no resources and are just trying to straight up trade for trade, it's not going to work. Jiwoo is spotted out here by the Rengar ult, but they're just all going to rotate top now. Vanderbilt, they take the top outer. Now they're going to go for the top inner, and they're all going to be here with the wave before UNC Charlotte even arrive.
And this is just a brick wall with Thresh and Maokai standing in the front as though way into this fight, especially with the Rengar ulti gone now.
Yeah, that was really one of their only engage tools. They need this Nami to be able to empower the Rengar when he ults. That is how this composition has any engage at all.
Diana's looking for a flank.
A good Diana flank could be
take that fight in as another great tidal wave comes through, but it's just way too little, way too late. It's going to be responded with by a great Tendrils of Corruptions that spreads through almost the entire enemy team. It's a triple quill. It's no, not the quadra kill. As the other 80 carry of the composition steals it away. I speak too soon. It is the quadra kill, but it won't be the penta. As Jiwoo claims the ace for his team.
Yeah, they need some minions here though. They're going to go for top and take this inhib because in this situation they could just try to grab the wave bottom, but there's so little time that it would be more effective for them to get the inhib, because even if they fail to finish the game then, they at least have another inhib down. They have 2 waves of supers pushing in then. Yeah, they will just opt to back out. Only 5 seconds on these death timers, not nearly enough time.
And they have such an easy shove in the mid lane now as well to go to after they come back with those huge piles of gold, which they've accrued now nearly a 10k gold lead at 25 minutes. And this was after a really, really good start for Charlotte. But they just played too fast and loose, didn't respect the team fighting power, first off, as they dove too hard on an engage, which then cost them the Baron, and then they didn't respect the pushing power out of Vanderbilt after the Baron had gone down.
I also don't like the playstyle that UNC Charlotte decided for their Jhin in these fights with the build that he went for. The big thing about going for crit build Jhin is that with the Essence Reaper, yeah, you do have CDR, you have way more spells, but the spells don't hit as hard as lethality. He is sitting in the back of these fights and trying to provide damage with curtain calls, but since he is crit based, most of his damage is in his auto attacks. So yeah, maybe he can get 2 curtain calls off after like 2 minutes or so. It's great, but they don't do nearly as much damage each.
So close to finishing off the Diana, but one way or another, it's going to be a clean kill. I say clean kill. The cooking goes down, Falcon over the wall. Notorious Gad caught out here though. The Tendrils of Corruption is going to spread onto Lambry as he gets hooked back over the wall, and that is an easy kill onto the support. Touching Gabe, trying his best to back up. He's going to drop that Dark Procession, but it gets melted away in front of his very eyes. Piercing arrow going to land, and this is a dead Yorick. Hops in for that 4th auto, does quite a bit of damage, but it's, I think, way too little this way.
And curtain call coming through, but the tanks are in the front. Nobody's going to touch this Varus. Notorious Gad tries, and yeah, he's just dead for it.
Another kill cleaned up by the mirror. And we have game number 2 and game number last going over to Vanderbilt. They take a 2-0 sweep. That's a number, dang it. They take a clean. Oh no, man goes in onto Vandy Landy. Lambry's actually the one to claim the kill with ebb and flow, but it's one last kick on the way out as Vanderbilt closed the door behind them on a 2-0 series. That has been it for us for the day here, though, as at least for me and Blaster Boy, though there will be more action coming your way tonight. As we close out the series with a 2-0 victory for Vanderbilt. That does push them through the round of 32 in the playoffs. My name is Octavian. I am joined here by Blaster Boy, who's done a wonderful job on the mic beside me. And before we head out, I would just like to give one final shout out to our sponsors, and also mention that if you've been listening to the broadcast, you know this, we are hiring here at the Collegiate Star League. We are hiring specifically a social media manager, and if you're interested and we're interested in you, then you can find us over at cstarleague.com. As well as that, our sponsors, I'm going to list them off here for you now, include Band Gaming, which is a social app and the primary social app of the Collegiate Star League. It's got features which allow you to create groups, boards, calendar functions, polls, chats, many, many more things, and all of them awesome for getting your friends together and making sure that game night happens, which I know can be something of a chore. As well as that, we're sponsored by Twitch.tv, who you should be familiar with, but just in case you aren't, they are the premier live streaming platform and have been kind enough not only to sponsor us, but also to have us hosted on their streaming platform, which has been awesome. Asus, as well, is our third and final sponsor, last but certainly not least, and they are purveyors of products such as monitors, laptops, routers, graphics cards, motherboards, and much, much more. Don't go into your next big battle on the Rift without being equipped with a little bit of Asus gear. It'll give you an edge for sure. My name is Octavian. I am joined once again by Blaster Boy, and from everybody here at the Collegiate Star League, have a great night.